السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وبعد. We're continuing in the Tafseer of Surat Maryam, trying to understand what went on with Maryam and his son. We reached Ayah, where Ayah number 27, where Maryam brought her son to her people. فأتت به قومها تحمله. She delivered the baby and she was so scared as to what she will do when she faces her community because of the potential attack, slander, accusation, and all of what comes with this situation. And she was told, according to Ayah number 25-26, either by the angel or by Isa himself, to get the comfort from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to vow a fast. Say that I have vowed a fast, I am committed to a fast to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and today I am not going to talk to any human being. So when she brought the baby to her people, carrying it, they said, "Oh Maryam, you've come with something ominous," meaning, how do you have a baby when everybody knows you are the girl of the temple, you are righteously raised, and you are cared for by a prophet, that is Prophet Zechariah, and you come from a decent prophetic family. So how? So they were charging him from the beginning, you've come up with something that is outside the norm, outside the line. Ya ukhta Harun, O sister of Aaron, ma kana abuki imra'a saw'in. Your dad was not a man of evil or sinfulness. وما كانت أمك بغية. Ayah number 28, neither was your mom a whore, a prostitute. Very loaded accusation and very strong language. And her only answer, ayah number 29, فأشارت إليه. She pointed to the baby. قالوا كيف نكلم من كان في المهد صبيا. How do you want us to talk to a baby in the cradle? He is not even up yet. And that shows that the sabi is the very young infant. Very young infant. While al-walad is the person when he is born. كل مولود ولد. Every newborn is to be called walad, mawlud, born. Al-ghulam is when the young man starts the age of puberty and beyond. That's called ghulam. قال إني عبد الله. He answers. He spoke. I am the servant of Allah. آتاني الكتاب وَجَعَلَنِي نَبِيًّا. Again, the answer, as you could hear it and see it, is as powerful as the accusation itself. Shock is treated with shock. But this is not Maryam is doing, this is not Isa is doing, this is Allah. So Allah is answering their shocking accusations with a shocking miracle. قال إني عبد الله آتاني الكتاب وجعلني نبيا. He gave me the book and made me a prophet. عليه السلام. وجعلني مباركا أينما كنت. And he made me blessed wherever I be. Wheresoever I be, I am blessed. So the blessings becomes part and parcel of his company. It doesn't leave him. Mubarakan aynama kunt. Blessed wheresoever I may be. وأوصاني بالصلاة والزكاة ما دمت حيا. And he admonished me to keep up with prayer and with the zakah so long as I live, which is quite remarkable for Isa, who apparently lived a short life. He lived a short life before he was ascended to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But so long as he was living, what was his mission? To keep up with his prayer, to keep up with his zakah, and what else? وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَتِي. And to be kind, to be decent, to be respectful to my mother. وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَتِي وَلَمْ يَجْعَلْنِي جَبَّارًا شَقِيًّا. And he didn't turn me to be miserable and overbearing. So here Isa is showing the huge difference between a child who's overbearing, miserable, difficult with his mom, and in this is a story for people or children who are living with their mom, not with their dad, to pay attention to her, because mothers give you everything, not the least of which is the milk, which is part of her body, part of her blood. You yourself is part of her body. As you grow for 9 months during pregnancy, you are feeding completely on her. That could never be paid. There is no way that any child ever could pay back his or her mom. وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَتِي. You remember Yahya, when he was talked to, he also said وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَيَّ, and to be kind to my parents and to be respectful with my parents. وَالسَّلَامُ عَلَيَّ يَوْمَ وُلِدْتُ. And peace be unto me the day I was born, the day that I die, and the day I am resurrected alive again. السلام علي يوم ولدت ويوم أموت ويوم أبعث حيا. Those are amazing 3 remarkable points in everybody's life. The day you are born, Isa is saying, peace be unto me. The day he dies, peace be unto him. The day he is resurrected, peace be unto him. Those are the points in everybody's life when you need peace the most. And peace here refers to the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Refers to the mercy and the comfort that Allah bestows on the person. Then the ayat shift from the rhythm of Hayya, Zakiyya, Aliyya to a different tone, to change the focus and to refocus your attention. ذلك عيسى ابن مريم قول الحق الذي فيه يمترون. Allah is not short of words to make it rhyme with the previous ayat, but He is changing the rhyme to attract our attention. This is indeed Isa. Who is Isa? Not the son of Allah, not Allah, but he is the son of Maryam. That's the only link of parenting that Isa comes with. He has no other parents. Allah is not his parent, and he has no father, but he does have a mother. So Allah brings his mother's name. As we mentioned in the beginning of the surah, this is the only woman that is mentioned by name in the entire Quran. While we have other great women referred to, but this one stands out to be the example, the model for righteousness, chastity, respect, and honor and dignity. So Allah mentions her name because Isa will be named the son of Maryam. So very significant that her name must be mentioned. ذلك عيسى بن مريم, the son of Maryam. قول الحق, this is the statement of truth. الذي فيه يمترون, in which they argue. And they keep arguing until today. There is nothing that puzzled more than quarter of the human race, more than the attribution of sonhood to Allah, which is a form of associating partners with Allah. Allah needs no one to inherit him, no one to carry something, because there is nothing after him. Allah is eternal, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he has no children, no son, no spouses. قول الحق الذي فيه يمترون, in which they argue and keep disputing. ما كان لله أن يتخذ من ولد. See here, it doesn't say what it says elsewhere. ما اتخذ الله من إله. Here it says ما كان لله أن يتخذ من ولد. It is never befitting for Allah to beget a son or a child. Subhanah, praised and exalted is He. إذا قضى أمرا, when He decrees a matter, فإنما, He does nothing but says to it be, and it is. يقول له كن فيكون. So He doesn't need a woman to carry, He doesn't need 9-month pregnancy or less or more. He doesn't need any of that. He creates. The essence of this ayah is Allah doesn't beget, Allah creates. How He creates? 2-letter word, be, and whatever He wants becomes it. Be, and it is. وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ رَبِّي وَرَبُّكُمْ, and Allah is my Lord and your Lord. Now, this is carrying from Isa's presentation. وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ رَبِّي وَرَبُّكُمْ is part of the statement of Isa alayhi salam. فَعْبُدُوهُ, Allah is my Lord and your Lord, so worship Him. Don't associate anyone with Him, and don't resort to anyone but Him to help you. Don't rely on anyone but Him. Don't ask anyone but Him. فَعْبُدُوهُ هَذَا صِرَاطٌ مُسْتَقِيمٌ. This is a straight path. فَاخْتَلَفَ الْأَحْزَابُ مِنْ بَيْنِهِمْ. So the parties thereafter started to dispute. They started to look for a story. They started to look for who's his actual father. They know it in their book that Yusuf the carpenter is not his father, even though they erect or create a whole genealogy through Yusuf the carpenter, who was only engaged with Maryam. They were not married. The Bible, as we have it today, says, and he knew her not until she had delivered the baby. In other versions, and he touched her not until she had delivered the baby. Yusuf, the carpenter, only married her after she had delivered Isa alayhi salam. So he could not be attributed as a child of Yusuf, the carpenter. For all purposes, he could not, even according to their book. So, فَاخْتَلَفَ الْأَحْزَابِ. They started discussions, and that discussion led to a dispute, and the dispute divided the followers of Isa from there until today, and it will continue until the day of judgment. So why does it go like this? When a community gets the truth from the tongue of the Prophet directly, and they go into discussions over what he has already cleared and clarified, they are calling confusion upon themselves. They are calling disputes from nowhere. They are artificially creating a problem that doesn't exist. He told them, and Maryam told them, yes, he is my baby, talk to him. And he talked to them back. And some scholars would tell us that the statement made in the beginning, where he told her, shake the trunk of the tree and eat ripe dates and drink from water, that his talk then to his mom was her first evidence that this is the baby, and this baby is from Allah, and this baby will be something unusual. So when she came to her community, she had enough confidence to present him, to speak. She didn't even say a word. She didn't say, Allah told me, the angel told me. She just did what she was told, to vow a fast and not speak to people. This evidence that came to her twice, that he is a miracle baby, is similar to what we will know when we get to Surat Taha, when Musa alayhi salam goes toward the voice, toward the bush, and Allah speaks to him, and he talks to him back, and he tells him, and what it is that you're holding in your hand? He says, this is my staff, this is my cane. أتوكأ عليها, I lean on it as I walk. وأهش بها على غنمي, and I lead my sheep with it, right? ولي فيها مآرب أخرى, and I use it for other purposes. And Allah tells him, قال ألقيها يا موسى, throw it. فألقاها, he threw it. فإذا هي حية تسعى, it turned into a real living snake. That was a preparation for Musa to be ready for what's going to happen later in front of Pharaoh and the magicians, so that he would have confidence that he has gone through it. So this is not a unique example when a prophet is taken through some experience, so that when it comes in real and he needs it badly, he's never shaken. So people, the parties, the communities that came about as followers of Isa, they started a discussion about who was that Isa. He was not a normal human being. So and his mom, we know she was a decent person from a decent family, taken care by a prophet. So we couldn't say anything about her, so she must have brought this baby as a miracle, which is true. Then whom do we call this baby? The baby of whom? The son of who? It was the first time that a baby to be called by the name of his mother. In the Jewish culture, you are called by your dad's name, even though they turned the fact upside down. They don't count you a Jew until you come from a Jewish mother, but all of them claim to be Abrahamic for being sons of Ibrahim, not sons of Sarah, right? So they turned the fact, but the culture, the Jewish culture, is that you ought to be called by your father's name, not by your mom's name. So they disputed. So some of them said, this is a miracle, this is a godly son. And the word started from being godly to being son to being God. So a discussion in a matter that has been already resolved can be deadly in terms of the turnout, the conclusion. So when a fact comes to us, the Quran is teaching us a lesson. Don't keep chewing on it, arguing about it, until you go astray, thinking that you are trying to assert the truth. You are not. You're trying to create confusion for yourself and for those around you. فاختلف الأحزاب من بينهم. The parties thereof disputed the matter then. فويل للذين كفروا. Immediately Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, "Woe to those who disbelieved." So the simple discussion that they thought is simple was the wrong discussion to have. It led to their kufr. It led to their kufr. So they became divided. A group that believes in Allah's unity and oneness, and a group that associated Isa with Allah as a son, as an heir, as a party, and then they attributed to him similar powers, that he has control over life, that he does what God subhanahu wa ta'ala does. So the Quran calls this kufr. فَوَيْلٌ لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِن مَشْهَدِ يَوْمٍ عَظِيمٍ. Woe to those who disbelieved from a scene of a very serious day. أَسْمِعْ بِهِمْ وَأَبْصِرْ. Tell and show. You know show and tell? In the Quran, it is tell and show. أَسْمِعْ بِهِمْ وَأَبْصِرْ. We went over أبصر بهم وأسمع in Surat Al-Kahf, which is show and tell. Here it is tell and show, which means communicate their story and show the truth in their story. أسمع بهم وأبصر يوم يأتوننا. Let them come with whatever argument and whatever evidence to let us hear them out, and let them show us the evidence for their claims when they come to us. لكن الظالمون اليوم في ضلال مبين. Nay, the wrongdoers on that day, they would be in utter astray. They will be far, far from the truth. وأنذرهم يوم الحسرة. And caution them and warn them the day of lamentation, when they lament what they have done. إذ قضي الأمر وهم في غفلة. The matter has been decreed and finished, and they are not even paying attention. وهم لا يؤمنون. And they do not believe. You know, in the heat of discussions and divisions that came as a result of rehashing and rehashing and rehashing, who is Isa? What is his relationship with Allah? What did the angel actually do? How did Mary become pregnant? When they started to nitpick into pieces the big story, instead of accepting the facts as they were told by Isa himself when he was even a baby in the cradle, now they started the discussion. And the end, as we mentioned, is they turned in denial and kufr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In that heat, in that discussion, they turned against each other. A group came, which is called the Unitarian group of Christians, those who rejected the Trinity, rejected the claim that Jesus is God. They rejected the claim that he was the Son of God, and they stood firm on their faith in Isa as a messenger and as a prophet. Those groups lived in Egypt. To be particular, they lived in the northern part of Egypt, Alexandria and the delta of the Nile River. So the leader of that church was named Arius. Arius was a Unitarian monotheistic believer who believed that Jesus was a human but a prophet, a human but a messenger with a message, followed on the heels of other prophets and giving the prophecy of the upcoming prophet, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So they were persecuted. This is where the Christian blood started to flow. From 325 after Jesus' ascension to heaven until the advent of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the bloodshed of Christians at the hands of those who claim to be Christians, even better Christians than the monotheistic Unitarian Christians, they persecuted them and they killed them. Arius was killed. His community was persecuted. Egypt was occupied by Rome, and they controlled the church until Umar ibn al-Khattab came and Amr ibn al-As came to Egypt, and one of the conditions to accept the coming of Muslims on peaceful terms was to push back against the Roman occupation and the Roman Empire, and to empower the Orthodox Christian community in Egypt, because the Catholics at that time, who were the majority of Christians, were persecuting them. They came all the way from Rome to prosecute them and to kill them. So Amr ibn al-As wrote it in his agreement and covenant with the Egyptian king, the Muqawqis. He wrote to him in agreement that the Christians will be safe from anything in their property, in their possession, in their wealth, in their money, in their children, in their churches. And from now on, it is the responsibility of the Muslims to protect not only Muslims, but Christians in Egypt as well. But this is the beginning of the so many branches or denominations that started to pop up within the Christian umbrella of believers, which the Quran does not really call them all as believers, except for the ones who believe in the true message of Isa, not the ones who polluted the message with their own injected beliefs. Ayah number 40. إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَرِثُ الْأَرْضَ وَمَنْ عَلَيْهَا وَإِلَيْنَا يُرْجَعُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asserting His authority and control. It is us that will inherit the earth, and everyone on it, which means also everything on it, because in the plural, when you have the living, it includes everything else they have or is around them. وَإِلَيْنَا يُرْجَعُونَ, and to us only, they will all come back. This is the brief summary of the end, not only of the story of Maryam and Isa, his birth, but also the story of their community that came after them, which, as we are told, would be divided into two initially: those who believe Isa and those who injected the idea of the Trinity to appease and please the Roman Empire and to be accepted in a polytheist occupier. The Roman Empire is a polytheist empire. It's an empire that initially didn't care about faith much, but when it comes to what they believed in multiple gods. They believed in multiple gods. The end is going to be before Allah, who will judge among them as to who was right and who was wrong. And in this is a remarkable issue for us to pay attention to. We are not in a position to send anybody, ourselves or others, to paradise or to anywhere else. We are not here to judge. Allah exclusively made it his issue, saying, "In al-hukmu illa lillah." Allah has exclusive control over the final and ultimate judgment. So intermittently, we should not be judging, but we should be aware as to what faith is, what belief and disbelief are, and how to commit our life to our faith, and to take lessons as we are going through. I always point to some lessons of importance. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, raising an issue or opening a discussion on matters that have been settled authentically in the book or in the Sunnah can lead us to kufr. That's all what they did. The followers of Isa initially, they were worshippers, they were following Isa, but then a group started to raise the issue about his identity. Is he divine? How could anybody speak in the cradle? Never happened before. Never heard of it, right? How could a woman bring a child without being married? We know she was not married. Those are the followers of Isa. Those are not the people who rejected him from the outset. Like the majority of the Jewish community, they rejected him. Like many prophets, all prophets actually were rejected by the majority and believed and followed by the minority. So as such, there is no way that after he was made to speak as a baby, which is a miracle, and told them who he was, what his mission was, what is he here to do, what they need to do, and then they start an argument. A huge lesson for us. Any matter, and I keep repeating it because it is very central. We Muslims argue about matters that have been settled, and we do not use that time to learn matters that we don't know. And this could lead to kufr. It doesn't mean that Islam does not encourage raising questions. Raise questions. But questions to understand are different, which are inquisitive questions. They are different from questions to doubt and to throw doubt and to challenge and to interrogate. Those are different types of questions. So questions to seek knowledge are central and important, and encouraged, but questions to destroy faith or to bring a different belief system and inject it into the belief system of Islam, those could lead to kufr. This is the lesson here from what Allah is telling us after Isa had spoken as a baby. So now that we are finished, the ayat will move to a brief discussion as to some snapshots from the lives of major prophets. Ibrahim, Musa, since we discussed Isa, those prophets become important. So, you have a question? Okay, please go ahead.
So Maryam, Zakaria say in the Quran here it says قال رب اجعل لي آية قال آيتك ألا تكلم الناس 3 ليال سوية فخرج على قومه من المحراب فأوحى إليهم أن سبحوه بكرة وعشية. For Maryam also, so she said she vowed to fast, so not to talk to. So the question is it sometimes better for us to just keep our mouth shut to make a point and let just the miracle making the da'wah, or should we talk about it?
Yeah, you heard the question. He is drawing the parallel between Zakaria not speaking for 3 nights and Maryam not speaking until her baby spoke. And he's saying, is it now better that we keep silent and not talk and let the miracles of Allah speak to prove truth? Well, basically, the biggest miracle left for us to display and to show constantly is the Quran. The Quran includes all what Allah wants people in general to know. So if we don't speak it, then what happens? We are concealing it, we are hiding it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took the oath and the covenant of prophets and followers of prophets not to ever conceal the truth. But the situation with Zakaria and Maryam is the exception, it's not the norm. So, but if you get a miracle to prove your case, don't speak, okay? Because this is what they have, okay? I'm kidding, but we need to speak up, okay? So here is the story. Any question about Isa, his mother, Zakaria? Yes. I am the servant of Allah, and he made me a prophet. Yes. No, definitely his prophethood, his miracle started at this age, but don't you expect Isa alayhi salam to start preaching at the age of 2? He started communicating a message by way of a miracle. Allah made him speak. But he is speaking as to what Allah will give him in the future is a matter that has been decreed. So, because he has knowledge of the future, being a prophet, and he knows, and he's speaking, in fact, what Allah made him speak. It's a miracle. So for him, he is talking about the future with the language of certainty, because to Allah, it's a matter that's finished. It's, for example, وَجَعَلَنِي مُبَارَكًا أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُ وَأَوْصَانِي بِالصَّلَاةِ وَالزَّكَاةِ مَا دُمْتُ حَيًّا. Do you expect him to jump from the cradle and pray? So all of this is talking about the future, but he is talking in the language of the past to express certainty. Okay? Very good question. Any other question? Yes.
When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says قول الحق, does that mean al-qawl is only for Isa alayhi salam, or since Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala إذا أراد أن يقول له بشيء كن فيكون?
Why do you have them as opposites? Clarify the question again for me.
All creatures, not only Isa alayhi salam, they are the result of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala word, kun.
Yes.
So are we specifically attaching the word qawl al-haq for Isa or for all creatures? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's command is for all, not only for Isa.
When the ayah says ذَلِكَ عِيسَى ابْنُ مَرْيَمَ, it means to say this is the true story of Isa ibn Maryam. Qawl al-haq means it is the word of Allah, which means create not your own story about Isa. Take this for what it is. The story of Isa, the true and truthful story about Isa is here. That's what it says. Clear? Okay. Yes.
So the salah is also given to the Isa alayhi salam, right? As per this ayah.
وَأَوْصَانِي بِالصَّلَاةِ.
Yeah.
So what's the question?
The prayer, the 5 times prayer was also given to the Isa alayhi salam.
We don't know if they were 5 or less or more. We don't know. There was salah. There was salah, definitely. And it was similar to our salah. It is not kneeling on your knees, it is not standing, it is not lowering your head, or it is what we do. فيها ركوع وفيها سجود. يا مريم اسجدي لربك اركعي لربك واسجدي اسجدي لربك واقنطي لربك واسجدي واركعي مع الراكعين. So there was sujood and ruku' in the salah. Yeah, he's asking, did Maryam marry after the birth of Isa? I was citing what the Bible says. I was not saying that this is true or not true. I was saying that the person they pick to attribute Isa as his son in the genealogy that they list in the Bible is not his father according to them. But according to them, he only became a husband to Maryam after Isa was born. But I was not saying whether I believe it or not. I was citing their references to answer the claim that Isa has a human genealogy. Do you know what genealogy is, everybody? Ancestry. Father, grandfather, grandfather, great-grandfather. That's called ancestry, and it's called genealogy. He didn't have a genealogy except through his mother, because he has no human father, and he has no father. What is so difficult about it? Nothing. As Allah says to Maryam, it's easy for me. قال ربك كذلك قال ربك هو علي هين. It's easy. Okay. Any other question? Yes. The Gospel of Barnabas is regarded as the closest to the story as told in the Quran. And because we use the Quran as our criteria, you know, this is a ruler. This is what you use to measure with and say this is 20 centimeters or a little bit more. Okay? So this is a yardstick. Whatever measures with this and it's exactly the same, it's 20 centimeters. Okay? If it is more, it's more, less, it's less. So the Quran is our yardstick. Whatever matches the Quran, then we know that it must have come from Allah. Whatever contradicts the Quran, it must have never come from Allah. And whatever doesn't match or contradict, we leave it alone. We never believe in it, and we never attack it or criticize it or buy it, because we're not sure. Because it's not part, like for example, the Bible has names of prophets that are not mentioned in the Quran. They are not told to us even in the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So what is the right position? To believe them because they are mentioned in the Bible, or to deny them because they are not mentioned in the Quran? No, the position is to leave it as is. You neither believe in them and defend their authority or authenticity, nor do you attack it or disregard it. That's it. Ya Harun, Ya Ukhta Harun. Maryam could not have been the sister of the brother of Musa, Harun the prophet, because these are different generations. Moses came maybe like 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 years before. So definitely this is not what is meant. But the word ukht means that you in the family of Al-Imran, you could be regarded as Harun's sister, Harun's daughter. So you are, it is like when you say Akh al-Arab, it doesn't mean that all the Arabs are his brothers. So this is a metaphoric language, it's a figure of speech. This is ukhuwat al-iman, ukhuwat that she comes from the same family, but not blood, real, relationship or kin. Okay? So the question is, the Quran tells us that we have sent many prophets. Some of them we have named their stories to you. منهم من قصصنا عليك من قبل ومنهم من لم نقصص عليك. Some of them we have told you their stories, and some we have not. وما كان لرسول أن يأتي بآية إلا بإذن الله. And no messenger would come with a sign or a miracle except from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by the leave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the question the brother is asking is, why does the Quran have a focus, and correct me if I misunderstood you, a focus on the two communities, the Jews and the Christians, from all the claimed followers of many other prophets? Basically, for several reasons. Number one, those are the communities that would constitute a very important actors in the life of Muslims from there forward. That could be a reason. But all the reasons I will mention will only be speculations. Why? Because the Quran didn't raise the question and the Quran did not provide an answer. And when people ask about other prophets or other stories, like for example, people asked about the people of the cave, and Allah sent the story of the people of the cave. So Allah could have told us every story of every community there ever was, anywhere, anytime. So it is not that Allah would be short of, either ink to write it or messengers to send or stories to tell. But Allah mentions in the Quran only things that will matter to our fate and to our existence. Those are the two communities that have much influence in the world, not only today, but for centuries. Right? And we are also told that in Surat Al-Isra, that there is an ever-eternal struggle between the Jewish community and all other monotheistic faith communities. They took a position, they took their own position, giving themselves supremacy over other human beings, that they are the beloved chosen children of God. Who said this? the Christians and the Jews. But it is an idea that is rooted in the Jewish culture much more than it is only copied in the Christian race or the Christian faith community. So the idea that those two communities stand out to be most mentioned and most important, it's because of the fact that they are the strongest power centers in face of faith all throughout, from their time, their early time until today. Like the followers of Musa, the Muslims of those days of his time, they have been in a struggle with those who deviated from the teachings of Musa, right? Until those who deviated became the majority, they took over, and their faith is defined by them, not by the monotheistic groups who claim to be followers, true followers of Musa. Likewise, in the Christian history, the followers of Arius, the monotheistic preacher of Alexandria, who believed in the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, refused the Trinity. He was killed, and his community were persecuted to the finish. They were actually finished. So what is left is majority Trinitarian Christians. Even the so-called Unitarian Church of today, they are not followers actually of Arius, but they claim to be monotheistic better than other Christians. That's the point. I think the Isha time is in. We'll stop here, and then next time inshallah we'll start with the story of Ibrahim in Surat Maryam. Subhanak Allahumma bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.